The first encounter. The war between Earth and the Thoric Empire had ended 6 months ago. Peace talks began, but peace was never easy. Commander Nivan, a young and smart human soldier, stood in the grand hall of the alien warship Vertal. He looked small, especially next to the giant beings around him. These aliens, the Thoric, were strong, tall, and terrifying. Most of their women were over 8 feet tall. Their skin was like stone, their eyes glowed softly, and their armor shined with strange energy. Nivan had been sent to represent Earth, but no one told him she would be there. She walked in with thunder in her steps. The floor vibrated. The air grew thick. Her name was Varnasa, champion of the Thoric, daughter of the War Queen. She wore silver battle armor, her long dark braids flowing behind her like smoke. Everyone moved aside when she entered. All eyes turned to her, and then to the tiny human man standing alone. Varnasa stopped right in front of Nivan. Her glowing violet eyes studied him from head to toe. She raised one eyebrow, and a slow smirk spread across her face. "So," she said, voice like rolling thunder, "this is what the humans send as a gift of peace." Nivan did not answer. He stood tall, even if he only reached her chest. Varnasa leaned closer until her face was inches from his. "You're too small to satisfy my species," she teased, her voice loud so everyone could hear. The alien crowd laughed, loud and wild. One warrior almost fell from his chair, howling in joy. Some banged their weapons on the floor in mock applause. Nivan's jaw tightened, but he didn't step back. He didn't show fear. Instead, he smiled, just a little. "Maybe," Nivan said calmly, "it's not the size. Maybe it's the heart that counts." The laughter died. Varnasa blinked. Her smile faded for half a second, then returned. This time, it was sharper. "Brave little one," she said. "Or foolish." "I'm here for peace," Nivan replied. "Not games." "But my people love games," she said. "And they want a test." "What kind of test?" Varnasa stood tall again and turned to the council. "Let the humans stay on Korthar, our jungle moon," she said. "1 week, alone. If he survives, we will talk peace. If not, then Earth is weak." The alien elders nodded. The crowd cheered. Korthar was no paradise. It was wild, deadly, filled with strange beasts, poisonous plants, and ancient machines that still killed. Nivan looked at the council, then back at Varnasa. "If I survive, you will hear me out." Varnasa leaned close once more. "If you survive, I will hear you out." She turned and walked away, her voice echoing behind her. "Prepare the drop pod." Hours later, inside a small space capsule, Nivan checked his gear. He wasn't allowed to bring any weapons, only basic supplies. He had to survive with mind and will alone. The pod shook violently as it entered the green clouds of Korthar. Outside, the jungle looked alive, breathing, dangerous. Trees were like towers. Shadows moved. Things roared. The pod landed with a crash. Nivan stepped out slowly. The air was hot and wet. The smell of moss and metal was everywhere. Suddenly, a loud growl came from the trees. Something large moved. Yellow eyes in the dark. A beast. Nivan gripped a sharp piece of metal from the broken pod. He stood still. The beast jumped out, 6 legs, 4 eyes, teeth like swords. He dodged just in time, rolled, swung the metal piece, and hit the beast's eye. It roared and ran away, bleeding. Nivan stood, chest rising with heavy breaths. High above, in the branches, Varnasa watched. Hidden, silent. She narrowed her eyes. "Interesting," she whispered to herself. At night, Nivan built a small camp. Fire crackled. He cooked a small lizard over it. He talked to himself while eating. "They think I'll die out here," he muttered. "They think humans are weak, but I'll show them." Something moved again, this time behind the trees. Nivan stood with his metal stick ready. But no beast came. Just a whisper on the wind. So small, yet still breathing. Survival trial begins. The jungle moon Korthar didn't sleep. Even at night, it breathed, roared, and moved. Commander Nivan sat beside his fire, every muscle in his body tense. Around him, the jungle hummed like it was alive. Buzzing insects, distant howls, the occasional crash of something large moving through the trees. He hadn't slept. He couldn't. Too many sounds. Too much danger. Too much on the line. He wasn't just surviving for himself. He was surviving for Earth. If he failed, the peace talks would break. War would return. Maybe worse. By morning, his fire was cold, his legs sore, and his mind sharp. He stood up, stretched, and walked a little into the forest, scanning for anything useful: water, food, shelter, or something he could use to defend himself. He found a small stream and drank carefully. He saw wild fruits on a bush, but tested them first by dropping one into the water and waiting. After an hour, the fish nearby floated belly up. Poisonous. He grinned to himself. Nice try. But the jungle was watching. And so was she. High in the trees, Varnasa crouched silently, eyes locked on him. She had followed him through the night, moving without sound, studying every movement he made. In her eyes, he was still small, still weak, still human. But something inside her whispered otherwise. He should be dead already, she muttered to herself. When the wild beast attacked last night, she expected him to freeze. But he didn't. He fought, and he lived. Now, watching him test fruits for poison, using river fish as a tool, it surprised her. Not even some thoric males would have done that. Later, Nivan began setting up traps. Simple ones. Ropes, stones, sharpened sticks. He had no gun, no knife, but he had his mind. He caught a small four-legged creature with tusks. It wasn't much, but it was meat. He cooked it slowly, chewing as he watched the trees. "I know you're out there," he said to no one. "Come out and say hi." For a moment, silence. Then leaves moved. But nothing came. 3 days passed. Nivan built a better shelter using vines and large leaves. He learned which creatures to avoid, which ones he could eat, and how to hear danger before it saw him. At night, he drew in the dirt. Maps, plans, notes. One night, as he drew, he saw footprints, not his own. Big ones, bare feet, deep in the soil. "She's been watching me," he whispered. Instead of fear, Nivan smiled. That night, the jungle went strangely quiet. Too quiet. Suddenly, the air turned cold. Something ancient was waking. Lights flickered between the trees. Machines, half buried, forgotten, humming with strange power, began to glow blue. Nivan followed the glow, step by step, deeper into the forest. He found a stone structure, half buried under vines. It looked like a temple or a command post. Thoric design, but ancient. The doors were open, like it was waiting. Inside, a round table with strange carvings. A mural on the wall showed images, giant thoric women beside smaller men, not being crushed, but standing with them, holding hands, building something together. "These are humans," he whispered. Then he saw a broken beacon. He examined it and realized this could send a signal to Earth. He started fixing it. Hours passed. He used wire from his pod, battery cells from his suit, and metal scraps from his traps. Finally, it hummed to life. "Earth Command. This is Commander Nivan. I've found something. I'm still alive. And I think this moon has secrets. Big ones. But someone else heard the signal. And they were not friendly." Suddenly, Nivan felt a cold wind. He turned, and she was there. Varnasa, standing in the doorway of the temple, watching him with burning eyes. "You found the forbidden place," she said quietly. Nivan stepped back. I didn't know. It doesn't matter, she growled. You weren't meant to survive. But now you've gone too far. She walked closer, towering over him in the ancient room filled with history. You read our walls. You fixed our beacon. Why? Nivan looked into her eyes. Because I don't think your people hate mine. I think, long ago, we worked together. She stared at him, silent. I think your people forgot, or were forced to forget. Varnasa stepped even closer. Her face was serious now. No jokes, no teasing. You are different from the males I know. And you are not the monster I expected, he replied. For a moment, there was nothing but silence between them. Then a sudden crash outside the temple. Both turned. Dark shadows moved through the trees. Glowing red eyes. Metal feet. The hunters. Old Thorak war machines, still active. Programmed to kill anything unregistered. Nivan looked at her. We have to leave. Now. Varnasa didn't move. No. We fight. Secrets of the jungle moon. The war machines moved like ghosts. Silent, cold, deadly. Nivan and Varnasa stood side by side in the ruined temple. Outside, in the jungle mist, metal feet crushed branches, red eyes scanned the dark, and gears clicked with deadly rhythm. They're not supposed to be active, Varnasa whispered. Looks like I woke them up, Nivan muttered, gripping his broken metal rod like a sword. Varnasa turned her glowing eyes toward him. You touched the beacon. I sent a message to Earth. Thought I was being smart. Varnasa stepped forward, her tone sharp. That beacon is protected by ancient defense systems. It marks a violation, not a signal. You just told the jungle we're intruders. Suddenly, a loud screech echoed through the forest. A war machine appeared in the clearing. Tall as a tree, shaped like a metal spider with spinning blades for legs. It saw them. Target locked. Run, Varnasa hissed, grabbing Nivan by the waist and leaping out of the temple. She moved like lightning, faster than her size should allow. She jumped between trees, her arms like iron, her grip bruising. Nivan held on tight as branches whipped past his face. Behind them, explosions ripped through the jungle. The machines were firing plasma bolts. Trees shattered. The ground burned. Animals fled in all directions. They stopped near a cliff edge. Below was a river of glowing blue water. We'd jump, Varnasa said. Are you crazy? That's 100 feet down. Do you have wings, little human? Before he could answer, she grabbed him and leaped. The fall felt endless. Nivan screamed. Varnasa didn't. They hit the water hard, and everything went black for a second. When Nivan came up coughing, he saw Varnasa swimming toward shore like a shark. Her armor weighed her down, but she didn't care. He swam after her. On land, they lay under a giant leaf, catching their breath. That was insane, Nivan said, wiping blood from his lip. You're still alive, aren't you? She smirked. You keep carrying me like a pet. You're small, she said with a grin. Fits in one hand. He laughed, shaking his head. You're impossible. And you're impressive, she said more softly. As the moon rose, they built a hidden camp beside the river. No fire, just silence, shadow, and sharp ears. Varnasa sat beside him, her wet hair over her shoulder, eyes on the sky. You've seen things, she said. Things most Thorak would never believe. I saw the murals in the temple, Nivan said. Your people once bonded with other species, even humans. It's all there. Varnasa didn't answer for a while. Then she said, my mother would kill me for even hearing those words. She believes in purity, strength, bloodlines. But that's not your belief, he asked. She looked at him. Her eyes glowed a little softer. I don't know anymore. Nivan leaned forward. Why did your people stop bonding with outsiders? Varnasa answered, her voice low. Long ago, Thorak women chose mates from many worlds. They believed strength came from union, not blood. But then came the Great Purge. A leader rose. Queen Larantha, my ancestor. She feared weakness. She outlawed mixing. Those who loved outsiders were erased from history. They weren't weak, Nivan said. They were brave. She looked at him with something new in her eyes. Not mockery, not curiosity, but respect. You speak like one of our old kings, she said. I speak like a human who wants peace. Suddenly, a soft beeping came from the trees. Both froze. A small round drone floated toward them. Smooth, silver, humming gently. Not Thorek, not a war machine, not native. Nivan stood slowly. That's Earth Tech. The drone flashed blue. It spoke in a calm, human voice. Commander Nivan. Signal received. Earth fleet en route. Extraction in 24 hours. Varnasa stood too. You called for pickup. I didn't know it would bring deathbots too. The drone beaked again. Warning. Thorek Empire has issued bounty on subject Nivan. Hostile forces inbound. What? Nivan shouted. I thought we were in peace talks. Varnasa growled. You broke a sacred rule. You entered the old temple. My people will see it as insult. I was just trying to survive. And now you've turned the jungle into a war zone. A shadow passed overhead. A warship. Not Thorek. Not human. Someone else was here. The ground shook. A third force had arrived. From the trees came figures in black armor. Mercenaries. Tall, pale, with strange tech. Not human. Not Thorek. They raised weapons. Target acquired. The small one. Nivan pulled Varnasa down just as the plasma fire began. The two rolled behind a stone wall, breathing hard. Varnasa looked at him with fire in her eyes. Your size may be small, human, but your trouble is giant. They fought side by side. She threw boulders. He used her dropped gauntlet as a shield. Together, they knocked down 4 mercs. But more came. Too many. Nivan took a breath. If this is how I die, I'm glad I died beside someone 8 feet tall. Varnasa laughed, a wild warrior laugh. You haven't died yet, little man. Then she did something shocking. She kissed his forehead. You said you wanted to surprise me, she whispered. You already have. The rival challenge. The battle ended just before sunrise. Smoke rose from the broken trees. The mercenaries had fled, leaving behind scorched ground and shattered tech. The river's glow had dimmed. Birds no longer sang. Even the jungle seemed to be holding its breath. Commander Nivan sat on a rock, his hands shaking. His shirt was torn, his side bruised. But he was alive. And next to him stood Varnasa, silent, her long body covered in dirt and scratches, blood dripping from her knuckles. She didn't look like a proud warrior anymore. She looked like a fighter who had chosen to protect something small and precious. She sat beside him, staring into the sky. I never thought I'd defend a human, she said. I never thought I'd be worth defending, Nivan replied, with a tired smile. She looked at him, her violet eyes filled with something deeper than before. Not just curiosity, not just respect. Something like affection. But before either could speak again, the sky above cracked open. A dropship roared through the clouds. It was not from Earth. It was Thorek Royal class. Nivan stood quickly, nerves rising. Varnasa's eyes went cold. My people, they've come for you. The ship landed hard. A ramp opened, and a tall female figure walked down. Even taller than Varnasa. Even more dangerous. Her name was Karis, daughter of the Eastern Warhouse. Her black armor shimmered with dark energy, and long red markings were painted under her eyes. Her voice thundered across the clearing. You dare fight beside a human, Varnasa. Varnasa stood. I do what I must. Karis looked at Nivan with disgust. This tiny male is beneath you. And yet, Nivan stepped forward. I'm still standing while your mercs ran. The Thorak warriors behind Karis gasped. Karis narrowed her eyes. "A male with a sharp tongue," she said. "Let's cut it out." She pulled out a spear and pointed it at Nivan. "I claim this human by right of Veltak. The old challenge. If he belongs to anyone, it will be me." Varnasa stepped between them. "No." Karis laughed. "Oh, you want him for yourself, champion." Varnasa didn't blink. "I do." Nivan looked between them. "Wait, what's going on?" Varnasa turned to him. "In our culture, when two females desire the same mate, a Veltak is declared." "I'm not a prize," Nivan said firmly. "No," Varnasa said softly. "You're the reason I'm breaking the rules." Karis sneered. "Then let the trial begin. The winner takes the male. The loser walks away forever." The rules were ancient and sacred. Both warriors would face 3 challenges: strength, skill, and truth of heart. Each trial would be held at a different place on the moon. The first, the Pit of Blades, lay deep in the valley, where ancient stone weapons floated midair in a gravity field. As the 2 giant women prepared, Nivan walked alongside an old Thorak priestess who served as the judge. "Can I object to this?" he asked. "You may speak in the final trial," she said, "but the first 2, only strength and battle decide." He looked down. "So I just watch." The old alien smiled. "You are more important than you know, human." Trial 1. Strength. The Pit of Blades was a glowing arena. Sharp stone swords floated in the air, spinning. Whoever controlled more weapons with raw force. 1. Karis roared, lifting 10 blades at once with her gravity bands. Varnasa stepped forward. She raised her arms. 11 blades answered her call. Karis growled and pushed harder. 12. Varnasa closed her eyes and screamed. 13. The crowd of Thorak warriors surrounding the pit gasped. The old priestess raised her hand. First trial. Champion Varnasa wins. Trial 2. Skill. They stood on opposite cliffs with no path between them, only floating rocks and wild winds. They had to leap, balance, dodge, and strike each other in midair. Karis was a blur, leaping with fury. Varnasa was calm, precise. They met midair. Sparks flew. Their fists cracked like thunder. One wrong step meant death. Karis feinted and kicked Varnasa in the side. The champion fell to a lower rock. The crowd cheered. Karis roared in triumph. The priestess nodded. Second trial. Karis wins. Nivan paced at the edge of the jungle, worried. 1 win each. It came down to the last trial. Not strength, not speed, but something more dangerous. Truth of heart. Trial 3. Truth of heart. They stood before the ancient pool of Seer's flame. This glowing water could read thoughts. When one stepped in, their heart was revealed, not with words, but with visions. Karis went first. She stepped into the flame. A vision appeared, her sitting on a throne, Nivan in chains beside her. Her empire grew. Her enemies burned. The crowd cheered. She smiled. But the priestess frowned. Desire without love. Power without purpose. Then came Varnasa. She walked into the flame. The fire rose. And then, images appeared. Varnasa dropping her weapon. Nivan standing beside her, not as a servant, but as an equal. Then came something shocking. A child. Half Thorak, half human, laughing, holding both their hands. The crowd fell into stunned silence. The flame glowed brighter. The priestess spoke slowly. True heart, she does not seek to own the male. She seeks to walk with him. Final trial. Champion Varnasa wins. Karis screamed. No, this cannot be. But the rules were sacred. She vanished into the jungle with her warriors. Varnasa turned toward Nivan. You were never too small, she whispered. My eyes were just too blind to see. Nivan stepped closer, smiled, and replied. Then I guess we both survived the jungle. She knelt before him and placed a hand on his chest. By Thorak law, you are mine, but by my heart, I am yours. The trial of claim. The jungle was quiet now. The fires had burned out, and the war cries had faded. Only two remained at the sacred flame pool. Nivan, the small human who had survived the wild, and Varnissa, the towering alien champion who had chosen him not as a prize, but as a partner. Nivan stood near the edge of the glowing water, watching Varnissa closely. Her armor was cracked. Her arms were bruised. Her long braids hung loose. But her eyes, they were calm, proud. You just won your people's oldest challenge, Nivan said. What now? Varnissa turned slowly, her voice low. Now comes the most dangerous trial of all, the trial of claim. He raised an eyebrow. Didn't I already get claimed? She shook her head, serious now. The Veltak was just the challenge for choice. The trial of claim is the bonding ritual. It binds two souls. Forever. It is sacred. Once done, it cannot be undone. Nivan swallowed. And what happens in it? Varnissa looked at him. We open our minds. No lies. No hiding. You will see all of me. And I will see all of you. Pain. Joy. Secrets. Regrets. He nodded slowly. Sounds. Intense. It is. And once done. She paused, lowering her voice. We are no longer separate. Even death cannot break it. They traveled together to the high roots, the ancient mountaintop where the trial of claim must be performed. The way up was dangerous. Steep cliffs, one so sharp it could slice skin, and floating platforms that moved if your heart wasn't steady. Varnissa moved with grace, leaping from rock to rock. Nivan followed, slower but smarter, testing every step, using vines as ropes, anchoring himself with sharpened sticks. He had learned this jungle. It was no longer trying to kill him. It was now part of him. At the top, the Temple of Joining stood. Made of white stone, glowing with veins of gold, it looked alive, like it breathed. Inside, two stone platforms lay side by side, surrounded by floating crystals and a pool of shimmering air. They stood facing each other. You can still walk away, Varnissa said softly. No shame. My people will not harm you. You've proven yourself already. Nivan stepped forward. I didn't survive this jungle. Win your people's respect and make a rival walk off in shame just to walk away now. Varnissa gave a small smile. Then step onto the stone and speak only truth. They both stepped forward. The crystals around them glowed. The air grew heavy. The trial had begun. Varnissa's voice echoed. I am Varnissa, daughter of war, defender of the lost. I open my heart. Her memories poured into the air like mist. A child crying alone in a war bunker. Her mother shouting, strength is all that matters. Years of training, fighting, never being hugged, never feeling warm. Nivan saw everything, not as images, but as feelings. Cold, fear, loneliness behind the proud face. He stepped forward. I am Nivan, born of earth, survivor of war, seeker of peace. I open my heart. His memories poured out too. His brother, lost in a space accident. His father walking out when he was 8. Nights where he cried under blankets, pretending to be strong. Varnissa saw it all. Not just the pain, but the fire inside him. The human fire, the refusal to give up. Then came the final step. The pulse bond. Each placed a hand over the other's heart. If their rhythms matched, their bond would be real. The crystals turned blue. The air shimmered. Both their heartbeats slowed, and then began beating as one. Boom, boom, boom. The temple sang. Bond accepted, a voice whispered from the stones. Two souls, now joined. But before they could speak, the air trembled, the temple shook. Suddenly, The stone doors exploded open. A squad of Thorak royal enforcers marched in, led by none other than Queen Larantha, Varnus's mother. She was taller than all of them. Her armor was pure black. Her face was carved from anger and pride. "You defy me, daughter," she roared. Varnusa stepped forward. "I chose my path." "You bonded with an outsider," the queen shouted. "A human insect." Nivan stepped up. "I'm not your enemy." Larantha raised her hand. "You are now. You have touched royal blood. You will be erased." Guards aimed weapons at Nivan. Varnusa growled, her body moving in front of him like a shield. "You'll kill me first." A moment of silence. Then the queen raised her hand again and paused. The crystals in the temple were glowing gold. The bond was completed, and the law of the Thorax said, any true bond done at the Temple of Joining is protected, even from the queen herself. She stared at the glow, then lowered her hand. "I should kill you both," she said, trembling with rage. "But the law binds me." She turned to Nivan with fire in her eyes. "I'll be watching you, little man. If you hurt her, not even the temple will protect you." She walked out, her guards following like shadows. As the wind returned and silence filled the mountaintop, Nivan exhaled. Varnusa turned to him. "You just faced my mother and lived." He grinned. "You see, small things can survive big storms." She touched his face gently. "No, you're not small. You're exactly the right size." They stood at the edge of the temple as the first sun of the jungle moon rose. Two hearts, one rhythm. A human and an alien, bound by trial, tested by danger, and connected by something bigger than them both. Love. The royal proposal. The sun rose slowly over the jungle moon Korthar, casting golden light across the mountaintop temple. Wind moved gently through the vines, hanging from the stone pillars, and glowing insects buzzed softly in the air. On the sacred platform stood two figures. Commander Nivan, the human survivor, and Varnusa, the giant alien warrior who had once mocked him. Now she was his protector, his partner, his bondmate. They were quiet, standing side by side, watching the sun as it rose. It had been only hours since the trial of claim had completed, since their minds and hearts were joined. Since Queen Larantha, Varnus's powerful mother, had stormed into the temple and threatened Nivan's life, only to be stopped by her own laws. The danger had passed, for now. But the real challenge was just beginning. Varnusa broke the silence first. "You should leave this moon before my mother changes her mind." Nivan shook his head. "And go where?" "Earth Command already gave me up the moment I touched that ancient beacon. They think I'm out of control." "They'll protect you," she said. "You're a diplomat." Nivan sighed. "I'm not sure I'm anything anymore. Soldier, diplomat, or jungle survivor. Nobody really expected me to make it this far." Varnusa stepped closer. "I did. After the first day, I began to hope." He smiled. "You didn't show it. I didn't want to." He looked up into her eyes. "So what now?" She took a deep breath. "Now, I want to do something bold. Maybe foolish." He tilted his head. "Foolish. I want to offer you something sacred to my people," she said slowly. "Something no outsider has ever been offered." She reached into her armor and pulled out a golden ring-shaped band made of smooth crystal. It pulsed gently with blue light. "This," she said, "is the royal bond sigil. I want you to wear it." Nivan blinked. "What does it mean?" "In my culture, it's a proposal. Not just of love, but of leadership. If you accept it, you become not only my partner, but my equal. You'd stand beside me in council. In war. In bloodlines." Nivan was silent. Varnus's voice softened. "You can say no, and I will still protect you. But if you say yes, then you're no longer just a man who survived. You become part of our legacy." He held the ring in both hands. It was warm, alive. He thought about Earth, about his life before. He thought of cold meetings, dull reports, people who looked down on him for being too average. And then he looked at Varnessa, the warrior who had risked everything for him, who had seen him not as small, but as worthy. "I accept," he said. Varnessa's eyes widened. For the first time, she looked nervous. "Are you sure?" she asked. He smiled. "I survived your jungle, your beasts, your rivals, even your mother. I think I can survive being your mate." She laughed, deep, powerful, joyful. "Then by the blood of the ancients, I welcome you as my chosen." She knelt down, placing the band gently on his wrist. A bright blue light flashed, and suddenly strange markings appeared on Nivan's skin, glowing patterns that wrapped around his arm like vines. "You are now marked by the royal sigil," she said. "Any Thorek who sees it must respect you, or face me." Later that evening, a ship arrived from the Thorek capital. It was sleek, elegant, and silent. No weapons, just royal banners. The ship carried envoys, officials of the High Council who had heard whispers of Varnessa's bond with a human. They landed in the clearing with ceremonial armor and gold-stitched robes. The leader, a soft-spoken male elder named Xialtir, stepped out and bowed. "We have come," he said, "to honor the binding of the champion. The council demands to meet the human." Varnessa turned to Nivan. "Are you ready for politics?" He muttered, "I'd rather fight a beast again." She laughed. Too late. Inside the ship, a ceremony took place. Nivan was asked questions in front of Thorek leaders. His bond with Varnessa was tested once again through a ritual called the Mind Circle, an ancient memory-sharing event where his intentions were read. He passed. The council offered slow, reluctant nods of approval. But just as things began to calm, the ship received an emergency signal from Earth Command. Nivan stood in shock as a hologram appeared. The face of General March, a cold and gray-haired leader from Earth's military command, filled the screen. "Commander Nivan, you are ordered to return immediately. You've violated diplomatic protocols. Your actions have placed Earth in a delicate situation." Varnessa stepped in front of the screen. "He is bonded now. He is not yours to command." March glared. "He is still a citizen of Earth." Nivan finally spoke. "Then maybe Earth should have stood with me when I needed help. I called. No one came, but she did." March's jaw tightened. "If you stay, you are no longer a part of Earth's military. No rank, no protection." Nivan took a deep breath. "Then I resign. I don't need a rank to be who I am." He turned off the screen. Later, as the stars filled the sky, Varnessa and Nivan sat beside a small fire near the edge of the royal ship's garden deck. She looked at him. "You've given up your old life." He nodded, and found something better. They sat in silence for a while, hands touching. Then Varnessa whispered, "You still don't know why I truly chose you, do you?" He smiled. "Because I'm clever, brave, handsome in a scruffy way." She shook her head. "Because you saw me. Not just my size, not my armor, not my title. Just me." He looked into her glowing violet eyes. "And you saw me too," he said softly, "even when no one else did." They leaned closer. A kiss. Soft, warm, strong. Above them, the stars danced. Below them, the jungle sang. And around them, two hearts, once from different worlds, now beat as one. The final choice. 3 days had passed since the royal sigil bonded Commander Nivan and Varnessa. 3 peaceful, perfect days. Nivan had started to feel like he finally belonged, not just in her world, but in her life. The Thorek people were beginning to respect him. The warriors who once laughed at his size now nodded when he walked past. Some even asked for stories of how he survived the jungle moon. But peace doesn't last forever, especially when the past comes knocking. At sunrise, a secret message was delivered to Varnasa. It was sealed with black wax, the mark of the Shadow Council, a secretive group of Thorek leaders loyal only to Queen Larintha. Varnasa's hand shook as she read the message. Her eyes grew cold. Nivan noticed instantly. "What is it?" She hesitated, then said, "The council. They're calling for a private hearing." "About what?" "They want to break our bond. Quietly. Secretly." Nivan stared. "That's even possible." "It's forbidden," she whispered. "But the Shadow Council doesn't follow the rules. They want me to leave you. If I don't." She looked away. "What?" "They'll start a civil war." That night, the two sat in silence inside her royal quarters. The wind outside blew hard. The stars above blinked like nervous eyes. "You should leave," Varnasa said. "I'm not running," Nivan replied calmly. "This is not your world," she said, voice low. "You don't owe it anything." He looked straight into her glowing eyes. "That's where you're wrong. I owe it everything, because it gave me you." She closed her eyes, struggling to hide emotion. "If I fight them, I'll be exiled. I'll lose everything. My title, my name, my honor. Then we fight together." She grabbed his hand tightly. "Even if we lose." He nodded. "Especially then." The next day, they arrived at the hidden Shadow Council chamber, deep beneath the mountain city. A cold, circular hall filled with tall, hooded figures sitting on stone thrones. In the center stood a glowing blade, ancient and cursed. It was known as the Divider. If one of them touched it and wished to end the bond, it would sever the connection instantly. But it would scar their soul forever. A voice echoed from the shadows. "Varnasa, daughter of war, you have brought a human into royal bloodlines. We demand that you undo this mistake." She stood tall. "It was no mistake. He survived what none of your chosen ever could." Another voice said, "He is small." Nivan stepped forward. "Yet I have faced beasts, rivals, and even your own queen. And I still stand." The oldest council member hissed. "Then let the blade decide. If your bond is true, it will protect you. If not, it will destroy you." The test was simple. One of them had to touch the blade with full heart, no lies, no fear. If even one of them had doubt, the bond would shatter. Varnasa looked at Nivan. "Do you trust me?" He nodded. She reached for the blade. So did he. They touched it together. A flash of white light exploded in the chamber. The stone shook. The flames in the torches turned blue. And then, silence. Their hands were still joined. The blade was glowing, but it did not burn. Instead, ancient words formed in the air. Bond true. Hearts united. Let none break what was freely chosen. The Shadow Council gasped. The oldest one stood slowly. "This has never happened, not in 1,000 years." Varnasa said nothing. Nivan simply tightened his grip on her hand. "You may walk out," the elder said. "But know this, your enemies will not stop. Not now." Varnasa replied, her voice like iron. "Then we will never stop either." As they returned to the surface, they found the sky full of clouds. And in the distance, Earth ships approaching. A fleet. Earth Command had ignored Nivan's resignation. They were coming with force, not diplomacy. They didn't want him back. They wanted him gone. That night, Nivan stood in the control tower of the Thorek capital, watching Earth's fleet arrive. He felt torn. Part of him still remembered Earth as home. But now, home had a different shape. An 8-foot-tall warrior woman with eyes like galaxies and a heart brave enough to risk everything. Varnasa stood beside him. "You have one last choice, Nivan." He turned to her. "You can return to Earth," she said softly. "They'll take you. You'll be safe. Or stay here, with me, but you'll be hunted forever." He smiled. "That's not a hard choice at all." She tilted her head. "It's not." He stepped closer. "Home isn't a place. It's a person. And my home is right in front of me." He kissed her. This time, she didn't pull away. Later, on a private channel, Nivan sent a final message to Earth. "To Earth Command, I am no longer yours. I've chosen something bigger, something braver, something human. Goodbye." The screen went dark. Varnasa took his hand and looked out at the stars. Together, they walked back into the throne hall, this time, as equals. The guards bowed. The people cheered. The jungle sang again. And somewhere deep in the ancient stone, the murals shifted. Now there was a new figure carved into the wall. A small human standing beside a giant warrior queen. Hands joined, eyes forward, changing the future.